In this episode of the Year Millionaire Podcast, I'm sitting down with one of our Power Trades University members, Kim. And Kim is just really opening up about how she got started in the stock market with a financial advisor and why for her that ended up being the wrong decision, and how she took that wrong decision and took control of her finances. And also she shares with, even though she started off with a father who was investing in the household, that wasn't where she learned how to trade and invest in the stock market. So I'm super excited to bring you this episode. Let's listen to more of Kim's story. So awesome. Well, thank you for agreeing to come on the podcast and chat. Really just wanted to, like I said, continue to chat with some of our members, especially some of the ladies like yourself, and just have a conversation about the journey, where you're at, and what made you get started. So take me back to like when you first started looking at the stock market as a vehicle. How long ago was that? What was that time like in your life that you said, I'm going to start investing in the stock market?
Yeah, so I'm going to go way back to like my childhood, where I think the seed was planted. My father was a stockbroker, and
Okay.
he took me to work one day, and it was after hours or on the weekend or something. But I just thought everybody had their little cubicles and their little computers, and I don't know, something struck me about that, and I didn't put two and two together. I just thought that was kind of cool. Well, fast forward to about 2020, the late 90s, 2020, early 2000, it was easier to trade on your own. So I guess brokerage firms were just getting started. Well, I got started by having my dad, I started following some stocks, and I've always been interested in tech. I was a techie girl. Like, I had to have the tech, and I was always fascinated by tech, and I'm fascinated by businesses. Having owned my own businesses, several since I was young, just fascinated with the way people run businesses and the ebb and flow of that. So in the beginning, I had my father invest for me. I would give him some money and I'd invest. Well, I had a couple of big hits. I didn't agree with him on a couple of things. And then the whole thing with online trading came, and I was able to do it myself. I didn't quite know what I was doing. But back then, I was caught up in that big early 2000 tech bubble. And I started making money, and I was like, wow, you can do that? And I think that's what got me bit, like had that little stoplight on me. And then ever since, I started investing for myself for the last 20 years. There was one other time that I gave my money to somebody to invest. And I should have known better. I was with my then boyfriend at the time, and he was recommended this financial advisor guy, and he shows up at the house like in this old beat up car. And I'm like, flag number one, financial advisor, like in a 1970s automobile. And he convinced me to invest $10,000 in, I believe it was Russia, or it was some other country's stock. Well, my 10,000, went down to 3,000. And I said, forget this. I can do this myself. I made money over here. I'm going to put in the work. I don't mind the work. I'm fascinated by the subject. I'm going to do this myself. And that was the last time I let anybody else ever touch my money. And then I just started diving in and researching and reading and CNBC and, here and there, not consistent, but over the years. It's been a passion. It's been like a side passion project for me.
Super cool that your dad introduced you to it, because your story, the back half of your story is similar to mine, where I went to a bank, gave them my money, they lost majority of it. But the front end of your story is completely different from mine, because nobody in my family was talking about the stock market. Nobody had retirement. I mean, maybe people knew about 401k. I don't know. I think even sometimes we were so strapped for money that in the Black community, I'm talking about my community
Yeah.
specifically,
Yeah.
we were so strapped for money. We didn't even have the leftover to put into the 401k. It was like, we need 100% of our check. So what was that like, having a dad that was into the stock market? And at any point, was that just common in your community, in your household? And then how does that compare to now, looking back? Like, if you running into people who don't have parents who introduce them to the stock market? Like, do you look back now and say like, wow, like I was fortunate that my dad introduced me to this? Or did you recognize early on, like, was your dad different amongst other dads? Like nobody else's dad was teaching their kids about the stock market.
Well, the interesting thing, Jason, is he didn't teach me and my brother about the stock market. I wish he did. I wish he would have taught me. I wish it was a tabletop topic discussion. I got into it on my own, and
Okay.
then we would have some discussions. I wish in school they would broach the subject. Like I'm always like with education, the necessities in life, you teach about the stock market, the 401ks, compounding interest, things like that. They're not taught. So I wasn't really taught until I started asking questions. So it wasn't a proactive thing. And no, it wasn't. Between me and my friends, I was definitely the oddball. I was the odd duck.
Okay. So yeah, that's interesting because at first I interpreted it as like, oh, I had this dad turning me on to, but no, you turned yourself on to it
Yeah.
and he just happened to be into it as well. And then you started having the conversations.
Yeah, I think that helped leg me in to it. That was definitely helpful because he was already in that realm and was able to place my first trades, maybe my first dozen or so, a couple dozen trades for me before I was able to do it myself. But
Okay. Nice. So you got exposed to it, just curious on your own. Your dad kind of started to help you after you started asking questions. Then you had this experience where you turned your money over to someone else and then they lost all of it. How was that like? Were you just always, I mean, I met you in person at our live event and you seem like a super confident woman.
oh no.
Most women, most women I talk to, not most, but like sometimes when I talk to women, they're just like, I don't know anything about it. I'm scared of the market. But you had that energy I had where I was like, I could have lost my own money. I can do it better on myself. Like where did that come from for you? It was just,
Well,
oh,
110%. If I'm going to lose, I think it was 10. Like if I'm going to lose $1,000, I'm going to do it and feel better about it because I did it. I don't know. Like I've always just been a curious person, like super curious, super go-getter. I think I was 22. I had my first business painting, faux finishing. It was like, I just was always got into something and I wanted to commoditize it. Like I wanted to turn it into a business.
love it.
I think it's hard to teach somebody that drive. I have a few friends that own their own businesses and I have a few friends that don't. They don't want anything to do with it. And I think there's a definite drive factor when it
She
comes
kind
to
of always
that.
had that entrepreneurial spirit. Like, I can do this.
I can do that. Why am I paying somebody else to do this? I can do that. I can make this. Yeah, same thing. Like I wanted to create. I think a lot of it's a creation thing. I love to create. I love to see things come to life. So
Yeah. And maybe even take responsibility for it coming to life. Like, see it like I did that.
yeah. It's cool.
I went to an event. We had an event here for EO Entrepreneurs Organization we're part of here in Detroit, Michigan. We had an event where we brought Magic Johnson in to speak to us at our event called Eccentric. And he said something that was really interesting to me. And someone got up and asked him and said, like, do you ever get nervous? Do you ever get, with all your accomplishments, your businesses, do you ever get nervous or doubt yourself? And he just had this energy where well, no, he didn't have energy. He was like, he kind of looked around like, who, me? And the person was kind of confused, like, well, yeah, like, he like, no, 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 who, you talking to me? He's like, no, no, you got the wrong, and I never forgot this. This is just last year. He
Yeah.
said, no, 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 you got the wrong dude. He's like, if you give me the rock, meaning the basketball, or if you give me an opportunity, he's like, I
Right.
know what to do with it. I'm gonna find the best people. I'm gonna find the best
Yeah.
mentors, books. I'm gonna get it done. He's like, nah, I've been winning since I was, I don't know. I don't know if he's at high school or college. He's like, no, I'm a winner. Like, I'll find a way. I don't get nervous. I don't He's like, "Nah, you give me an opportunity, I know what to do with it." And I just was like, "Whoa." Like, the amount of confidence, some people you're like, "Do you ever get nervous or afraid?" And they're like, "I get nervous too, like everyone else. I just
Yeah.
face the fear and go through it." Or like, you know, Or you have people like, I get nervous, but then I say F that and I just run through a brick wall. You know, you got that super alpha male or you got the super delicate. One was like, I get nervous too, but I just do it anyway.
Yeah.
But like he was like, nah. You give me an opportunity, I know what to do with it. Forget getting nervous, getting scared. I'm gonna call the right people. If I don't know them, I'm gonna find the right people. We gonna get it done. And
Yeah.
I just thought, so anyway, what made me think about that is just like when you're saying like you got that energy of like, I'm an entrepreneur. I want to learn this. I like creating. I was just curious about stock market. Like my dad didn't help me. I was curious. And after I was curious, he finally let me know a few things. But I was curious first. You got that energy like, nah, I want to figure out how to do this because I'm that girl. I'm that entrepreneur. I'm that curious. I like to build stuff. I like to see it happen with my own hands. And that just popped in my head as you were talking and
Yeah.
speaking.
And to digress a little bit on the vulnerable side, right? Like, you're like, oh, you met me, I'm super confident. I'm not super confident. Like I
Get
have to
out of here.
turn it on. I have to turn it on. I own my own business again. Like I'm on my seventh business. I'm in sales now. So I have to, but the confidence comes like, you smile and you feel better. So the confidence, yeah, like I have bad days. I have bad trades, as you know. That's
Bad days and bad trades. That's it. We should put that on the t-shirt.
okay.
Bad days and bad trades.
Put my initials, KH.
Yes.
Uh, but you just keep going on. Like I see people, it knocks them down. I see friends like knocked down. Like, why would I get knocked down? Like that's not my goal. My goal is over here. That's just a setback, or I fell down a few feet, so I get up and I keep going. So it's not an option. And I learned that I think at an early age, like when you give yourself an out. Like let's just say working out at the gym. When oh, okay, I'll go tomorrow. Well, no, it's I work out every single day. Period. Like there's no leeway. Like you just,
No excuses.
yeah, whether no matter how you feel.
You got to just make it happen. Yeah. You need to teach us a class on that confidence so we can turn it on, so we can figure out how to turn it off and turn it on like that. And I think you're right with when people think about the stock market or anything in life, you have to realize life in general comes with some bad days. Like, not because you did anything wrong. And I think that's important when it comes to the stock market. You should have some bad days, some bad trades. And it's not because you did something wrong. It's just sometimes you just every trade is not 100% winner. No reason that no other difference than someone gets cancer, someone
Yeah.
has some unfortunate thing in their life. It's not like they specifically did something wrong. It's just we live in a flawed world and everything's not going to be perfect. And so you have to allow for mistakes or negative things to happen to you, but to still keep going. So what keeps you? I know you said you kind of got that mindset, but is there anything tangible you do or you got mantras that just get you through and just says like, you know what? Got it, lost some money in the stock market or had a bad day, but we're still going in this direction. Like, how'd you arrive at that confident place and
I'm gonna
anything that you do to keep it going?
Yeah, I would say I am so focused on growth. So spiritual growth, mental growth, health-wise growth. So, I mean, I have practices, I meditate every day. I do something called inner family system work. So self-help talk to, deal with, we all have stuff in our past. We all have, I don't care who you are, you had a childhood trauma, you have stuff that comes up even, in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I think you got to deal with that. And the more that I deal with that and I stay present and that doing these different things, meditating, staying present. I sat at a 10-day silent meditation retreat, of a Vipassana retreat, and didn't talk to anybody for 10 days. Profound, profound. Had one of those moments in there, you know, and but keeping working at it, like chipping away on it, an improvement, self-improvement. I love my Netflix at night. I love like binging on junk food. Like I love all that, but putting it in perspective, like you have to, like anything, invest in yourself growth, whether spiritually, mentally, or physically.
Yeah, personal development is so big because for me, some of the things that help me get through, similar to what you said, just working on yourself. I need to get back to meditating every day. But
Um,
one of the things, just reading books like Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Alchemist, different books. There's so many principles that I take from 'em, but one thing, I don't remember what book I got this from, but they talked about the hero's journey. And they talk about like when you don't believe in yourself, pick a hero and ask, what would they do? And for me, one of the things that gets me through is basically when I'm having a bad trade, bad months in the stock market, whatever the case may be, I'll say like, what would like when you just want to quit and give up, like maybe, I'm not cut out for this. And I'll ask like, what would Warren Buffett do? And when I walk through that process and say, if Warren Buffett loses money and he quits trading, he never becomes Warren Buffett. He never becomes a billionaire. He never becomes the biggest impact he made on the investment society. And so I say, when I look to him as a hero, I don't know him personally. Somebody might be like, he's not a Christian or he's not this, he's not a good father. I don't know him on that side. I'm talking
right.
about a hero in the stock market. Okay, let me be clear.
Being undeniable there.
Because this world is crazy. All this stuff come out about people 30 years later, they pull this podcast, something like, you said that was this hero. But what what I'm trying to say is with respect to the stock market, I'd be like, wow, if I quit, I don't know who I become at 60 and 70 years old if I quit. And who knows if my name will be a staple in the industry or how many people I'll be able to help or if I'll ever get to the billionaire status of investing in the stock market. But I know when I look at my hero and says, if he quits, he never becomes Warren Buffett. He never becomes that guy. That gives me like that mental like reset, like, okay, what would he do? He'd dust himself off, look at the trade, see what went wrong, try not to do it again, put some parameters in place. And so that's how I try to move forward from at least a bad day in the stock market. I found that that really helps. And then my other mantra, do you have a mantra? One of my mantras is I'm a good trader. And the reason I say I'm a good trader because it follows what do good traders do? They take profit. And so when I'm up in a trade and I'm feeling greedy, like I can go higher. I'm like, I'm a good trader. And it's like, and I'll be like, what do good traders do, Jason Brown? Like they take profit. And that just gives me that little mindset trick to hit the button and be like, take the profit and stop being greedy, boy.
I love it. I remember you teaching that before and I was doing it for a while. And that is a great reminder. I'm just going to start doing that again. I am a
Yeah, because
good trader. I've had the tools now. I've been in your trainings for 2.5 years. I've been doing the work. I have the tools. So now fine tuning it.
I said,
What would
fine-tuning
Jason
it.
Brown do?
He would recite, I am a good trader.
I am right.
Which means what? Take the profit and run.
Just take that 10%.
I always like to ask, well, let's go here. So what's like a big, it could be big or little, but what's a financial win that you've had in the market? And then I'm going to follow up with what's a non-financial win, because sometimes people think winning is always about making money. Sometimes losing is a win because you followed your plans or whatever the case may be. But what's a big win financially? And then we'll talk about what's a big win non-financial. And I don't care if you made $100, like what's a big
Right.
win for you that happened in the stock market?
Well, I was going to say over the last 20 years, I have had green years more than red years. So I've made, so that tells me, okay, something I'm doing is right. But I would say like a big win lately would be my confidence. Having a lot of smaller, like I love becoming, this is what I learned from you. So I learned how to become a seller of options. And that resonated when I took one of your trainings, one of the video courses, and I heard that it's something rung true to me. And as I went through the courses, I started experimenting with selling. And yeah, it's a slower growth thing, but to me, it's more conservative and it fits my style of trading. I like accumulating stock. That's a great way to do it by selling puts. So I learned how to do that. I never knew how to do that. Before I met for trades, I was just doing buying and selling and cost averaging down and I didn't know how to read a chart. Like, believe it or not, after 20 years, I did not know how to read a chart. And now I do, which is amazing. Like, I think actually my charting is pretty decent. I put my lines up when you're doing classes and I'm like, my lines are the same. Like, cool. That's huge.
That is huge. And I love that you said, like, I've had more green years than red years because you will have some red days, months, weeks, or years. And long as you stay in the game long enough and they outweigh the bad years, that's where you want to be. And it really, to me, it's a testament to more longer term vision because some people come in the game as if they don't make $1 million in 6 months. It's like, oh, this isn't for me. Or it's like, if I was up 3 months, down 3 months, they're like, I don't do this no more. But you're
Yeah.
like, dude, look at my life over 20 years.
Yeah.
I've had more green years than red years. And that's a beautiful long term approach. And the show that you could have that without learning how to read charts. But now that you add chart reading and selling puts to your arsenal, it takes it to another level because for people who don't know about selling puts, I mean, we call it the get the stock at a discount or get paid for trying strategy. And so if you like accumulating stocks, you have a new system of getting paid to get the stock at a discount or get paid for trying. And so that's huge to add to your arsenal because you're always lowering your costs of getting into a trade, if not getting paid without having to take the trade at all. And so at what point did you realize like I like selling more than being the buyer?
Um, it just resonated with me. I think it's a more conservative approach. I feel like it's less risky. And again, accumulating that stock and I like having that tangible stock. You know, if it had a dividend, at least I'm getting the dividend now that I have the stock. So it just works for me. You know, I don't need to make $1 million in 6 months. That's not my, I'm in it for another 20, 30 years.
Oh, I love that. I love that mindset. I mean, more people need to be thinking about their investments like that and thinking about the long term, even though there's money to be made in the short term, but like just don't blow up your account in the short term.
You can do that also. I mean, what goes up can come down. It comes down fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So love it. And then the non-financial one, you said just your confidence and your knowledge of reading charts and knowing how to do that covered strategy has been a big non-financial win for you.
Totally. The chart reading, predictable, repeatable patterns. Again, I had no idea what that was. I remember in the beginning, you know, even taking your course and Michael Anthony uh, mentioned something about PRPs. I'm like, what's a PRP? Why don't I know this? And he's like, it's a predictable, repeatable pattern. I'm like, oh yeah. And now I see them all the time. I'm like, there's one, there's one, there's one, there's one. And yeah, there is a rhyming to the market. Again,
Yeah,
something I never saw before.
and we have so many acronyms in the community that wait, what's this one? PRP. So walk me through. So I know sometimes, you're already trading, you were doing things on your own. I don't even know this story. So like, how did you find me and what made you move forward with getting like additional education? Like,
Yep.
what was that
Uh,
whole decision process like?
so I guess it was right before COVID. So I was at a level in my trading. You know, I'm now 5 years into my own last business I started, and I'm just like I knew about options. I could not find anything on options to teach me. I'm like, I don't know if this is a vehicle for me, but I want to learn it so I know if it's a vehicle for me or not. And I'm going to E-Trade, I'm going to there, I'm going to YouTube all over, and I found you on YouTube. Nobody could explain what the heck options were or how they use them, or they explained it in a way that was so over my head, and not thorough. Like I left more confused after a 2 hour.
Mm,
And then when I started, so I found I think it was the Brown Report. I
yeah,
found
that's
you on
my YouTube
YouTube.
channel.
I started listening to you probably for about a year.
Really? That long?
Yeah, that long, about a year. And it was in November I joined 2.5 years ago. And I have an accountability buddy. that I meet with twice a week. And I told her, I was like, oh yeah, I want to join. I can learn more. It's a passion of mine. I think he can teach me just from what I've been listening to Jason Brown for the last year. Like, I understand what he's saying. Like, he has more to teach me. And I was going back and forth about the investment. And she's like, well, Kim, where are you going to be, in 2 years from now? How are you going to feel about that? I'm like, I'm in. Like, I'm going to make that investment. And so it's my 2.5 years in. I joined the next level, like semi-private coaching community, which again, another investment. I am so glad. Like, I knew I was going to do that one. Like, I've been wanting to do that before you even put it out. That I wanted to go to that next rung. I wanted more individualized coaching. So that was
Yeah. That's interesting hearing it from your perspective because, like, I put out content, but I have no idea that some people is like, I've been listening for a year and finally made the decision. And it's just all about timing for you when your time is ready. Like, the teacher was there, but you still have to be ready to take the leap. And I think that's something that's important for anybody that is even teaching the stock market. You can't force students to be ready. They have to go at their own pace. And one of the things I try to pride myself on, it warms my heart that you said that, is that other places you left more confused than you were when you started watching it. When you found mine, you actually understood it because that's how I felt. When I got into the game, I was like, why are they using these big words? Why didn't they explain it like this? And once I realized how it worked, I was like, why didn't they just say that? And I couldn't figure out why they wouldn't just say that. They just made it sound so complicated. And part of it is people on TV want to look smart. The other part is if you're a financial advisor, no disrespect to financial advisors, but their whole goal sometimes is to make it complicated so you turn your money over to them. So once you start to realize, like, okay, TV people have an agenda, right? Keep you confused, keep tuning in because you think they're smart. Financial advisors have an agenda, keep you not so educated so you feel like you need them. But I think people don't realize, as a YouTuber or a personal coach, whatever you want to label me as, my agenda is different from theirs because I don't manage people's money.
Yeah.
So my agenda is to make it as simple as possible so that you understand it, so you can believe in yourself to do it, not make you feel dumb so that you can't do it, but to make you feel like, yeah, I got this. I can do this on my own. And
Yeah,
so
100%.
yeah, so that's super powerful that it's working. It's working because that's all I want. I never really want people to leave my videos or platform and be like, I have no idea what he just said.
No, it was so easy to digest. I mean, there's a lot to digest. You could talk for weeks about things.
That's why it took a year, right?
And still, like, wow, I want to, dive deeper, but I understood I was getting it, again, it was the first time I was getting it, and I'm not afraid of studying and diving into something. And like, again, the first time I'm getting it was a no brainer then to jump into power trades to PTU.
Awesome. So what would you say to women who are thinking about getting into this industry? Because we've been passionate about raising the voices of women in our community, which, I'm so glad you said, hey, I'm open to being on the podcast. And I think more women representation need to be out there because for years, for me, it was a white man's game, but it was still a man's game. So to women, whether it was black or white, it still was a man's game. And now more women are stepping into this industry and taking control of their finances. And like the previous episode, though, depending on when it comes out, we had Soo Yoon in here, who is a stay-at-home mom or parent and partner taking care of the household. But it's like, I want to use the stock market to help contribute. And I love that. It's like so many women are from stay-at-home mom to people like you that are entrepreneurs. Like, I got this. I've been an entrepreneur since my 20s. So what would you say to women, no matter what end of the spectrum they may be on, that are thinking about getting into this industry?
Well, I think you just touched on it a little bit ago about taking control. So we're so often through different things, health, finances, letting other people control what we have. We listen to the doctor. We do what the doctor says. We listen to the financial advisor. I don't believe they always have our best interest at heart. There's always there's always a finance. If it's a for-profit industry, there's always something in the background. I just believe that you can have control over some of the biggest things in your life. And finances, for most people, is a hugely emotional, important topic in a family. To be able to control your finances or have ways to make money or protect the money that you have, I think is invaluable. I think it's invaluable to have that knowledge. I have friends that are so going through such a bad time right now. They two, parent household, they make a decent living and they're broke. They have no idea where their money went. I'm like, wait, you have no idea where your money went. So I think it's just really important to just step up and say, you know what? I can do this with a little work, a little knowledge, a little help. I can help my family thrive or get to my next goal or, set up a little nest egg or protect my nest egg.
Yeah, absolutely. Women, I think the optimal word or optive word, I don't know if I use that right, but it's the big picture is control, taking
Control.
control. It's an opportunity to take control. And let me know what you think about this. I'm curious. I didn't ask this in the previous 2 episodes, but I am curious. My thoughts about women traders. Women are are primed to be good traders. Here's my thoughts, and I'd love to get your opinion on this. M- Most, I mean, in society, it's the woman who thinks about typically growing up, getting married, picking out her wedding dress from the time she was young. From what I've seen from women getting married, like, they will research venues, table settings, menu, cost of this. I can get those candles over here cheaper. The what do they call it when you get married and you go off? I can't even think of the
Honeymoon.
honeymoon. They research the honeymoon spot. They will have a spreadsheet of the cost, the locations, what they like and don't like about that venue, don't like the chandeliers there, don't like the table set. Like, they will map it all out and they can plan this for 6 months to 12 months for this event. I believe if they took that same passion and put it in the stock market, had a spreadsheet of companies they like, don't like, the price they would buy it at, what it looks like when it goes on sale at a discount, why is this company doing well or bad? I believe the women would kill it if they just looked at the market like planning a wedding.
100% on sale. I'm so looking at stocks now, like my bucket of stocks. What's on sale? Why do I need to buy it when it's not on sale, when it will be at a discount, if I just wait? Yeah, 100%. I think that women have um, some skill, just life skills that can translate into the stock market. Think over.
Absolutely. And then we got women's intuition. They probably bring that intuition here. Like,
Oh,
I
let's not
don't know
forget that.
why, but this isn't a good stock. Just don't do it. I don't know why. It's like you need a woman with you every time you press the buy button. Like, how you feeling about how your intuition doing? I think women just have so many cool gifts that really make them excellent traders or investors. I don't know that they always see it in themselves. And so I hope these series that we're doing, we're interviewing some of our female members will really open their eyes and expose them to looking at themselves differently and looking at this industry differently and knowing that they have a seat at the table and they have what it takes to just crush it, probably more than men. Cause I'll tell you, in our community, I feel like the women are the most humble in there. Not saying the guys, we got some cool guys, but guys are all like, I'm gonna make this, and the ladies are like, "Why'd you pick that stock? I didn't understand that. Can you like they don't have a I don't want to look stupid and ask a question. I mean, sometimes, but like most times they asking questions, or sometimes the guys are like, I got this. So awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, not at all. It's been a pleasure. I was excited to speak with you today.
I know I was super pumped when I saw
Yeah.
your name come up and that you booked to have an episode. So, Kim, thank you so much for sharing your time with us, sharing your thoughts. And I just hope this has inspired not just women, but men listening to it, but, especially the women or young girls who are thinking about coming up in the stock market game. I appreciate you sharing your story.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.